For once you're not in charge, Mr. Governor. And the beauty of being on the top floor in a pre-war building is, what's that expression? Nobody can hear you scream. You'd be much better off just doing what I say. Gesturing to the pen and pad on the desk in front of him, she ordered him to write, "I am sorry for hurting so many people." When he hesitated, she pushed the gun barrel into his neck and said, "Do it, or I'll shoot you right now. Think I'm kidding?" He hated that his hand shook slightly as he wrote the words. Finished, he sat back, his mind racing, trying to stall, to keep her engaged, so he returned to the bluster that had served him well for decades in politics. "I know you're in bed with my guy Connor. I know everything. Just tell me what you really want. Money? It can't just be that stupid note." She ignored him. "Don't move," she said, staying directly behind him. He could hear her coat rustle. In the window, he saw her removing something from her pocket with her left hand and working her gloved fingers while still pressing the small handgun into his neck with her right hand. "Sit back. Arms on the chair with your palms up, where I can see them." "Good. Now close your eyes," she said. He did what she asked, but squinted enough to see her suddenly stab his forearm through his shirt with a large syringe, depressing the plunger in the same move. It took less than a second. "Ow! What the hell was that?" he gasped. "The world becoming a better place," she answered, as she set an empty bottle of insulin and the used syringe on the end table next to him. He wanted to yell, to struggle, but it was too late. He slumped in the chair, deep in a hypoglycemic coma, headed for death. She pressed the syringe into his limp right hand, placing his thumb on the plunger before dropping it to the floor and leaning over to roll up the sleeve on his left arm. In the lobby, she was past the doorman before he even saw her. "Evening, Mrs. Burke," he called. She acknowledged him with the back of a gloved hand and was gone. These fucking rich people, he thought. 10 minutes later, a black electric motor bicycle skidded to a stop on the sidewalk out front, and a short man wearing a large insulated backpack walked into the lobby. He had a delivery for Mr. Burke in the penthouse, dinner from a fancy steakhouse. The doorman knew Mr. Burke loved the coffee-rubbed Wagyu strip. He rang upstairs several times with no answer. He couldn't allow the delivery guy into the elevator, so he signed for the dinner box and called the janitor to the lobby, telling him he was running food up to the penthouse. He punched the penthouse code into the elevator and moments later quietly stepped into Mr. Burke's home, using his most subservient tone to call the great man's name. Calling and stepping, he slowly made his way through the apartment to the office, finding the body, open-mouthed and staring with empty eyes. Dead fucking rich people. Chapter 1. Hoboken smelled like coffee. Nora Carleton stepped up to the sidewalk from her basement apartment and took a deep breath of morning air. For decades, this once shabby little New Jersey city on the west bank of the Hudson River had been home to coffee roasting factories. There was coffee in the air when Hoboken was an Italian enclave, and Frank Sinatra was a local hero. There was coffee in the air when the Italians moved out in the 1970s and Puerto Ricans moved in to raise their families. And it was still in your nose now that Hoboken was a gentrified city where Manhattan commuters paid $6 in upscale cafes for what they could almost get with a deep breath. Nora's rental in her hometown, the mile-square city, was a basement with little natural light, nothing like the grand brownstone apartments in the floors above, but at least she could afford it on a federal prosecutor's salary, and 11th and Bloomfield was a fancy spot for Hoboken. It meant a short commute. She could stroll 1 block to Washington Street and then